Let's do it. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode here on the Digital Trade Show podcast. Very excited to be in Orlando, Florida at the Profitable Dentists Practice Owner Conference. And today's list of episodes, really excited. We had all of the vendors that are here sponsoring the event, having them come on the Digital Trade Show podcast and talk a little bit about their story, what's new with what they're doing, their why, all that good stuff. And I'm very honored to have Mr. Leo Townsend from International Payment Solutions with me. How you doing, Leo?
Good, John. How are you by yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. It's been a long time since I've done anything along these lines. I had a radio and TV show back in Chicago when my other permutation life I was a stockbroker.
Okay. All right.
But this is fun. I'm really excited about things that are going on in the industry right now. It seems more and more people are caring about it.
Absolutely.
People care about what they're paying for their processing.
Absolutely. So, being that you had your own radio show, as we go through this interview, are you going to flip things around and ask me questions? Or I just want to be ready.
Well, this is your show. I'm going to let you run it.
Well, let's get right into a little bit about yourself. You mentioned briefly, I love learning about people's history and their story and kind of how you got to where you are now. So, talk a little bit about that.
Well, here's the old cliche for I was born a poor black child.
Right.
I'm originally from Chicago,
okay.
and grew up there. And my history was I always wanted to be a pilot.
Okay.
That Chuck Yeager was my hero as a kid growing up and everything. And I went to school, Purdue for pilot training, but I'm not perfect. And you have to be a pilot, and that's just not me. I'm better with numbers.
Right.
So after I left college, I actually got involved with the securities business. I was on the exchange floor, worked for Dean Witter for numerous years.
Okay.
Had institutional phone clerk for them for a long time, and then I got my own retail license where I could actually invest people's money for them and start doing that. And we got to be pretty well known for that. And I started doing the radio show for WVON back in Chicago. That's
cool.
Actually, WVON was the very first black-owned radio station in America.
Really?
WVON stands the voice of the Negro.
Okay.
And that, this was back in the mid '80s. When I started doing it, late '80s when I started doing that stuff. Things have changed. Immensely since then, as far as what's going on with the whole digital, shows and like that. Back then I produced the whole thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Produced and did the script and was the on stage presence and everything about it. But nowadays it's a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So, talk a little bit about your company, what you do. I know I've heard nothing but positive feedback. I know we were talking to Steve Parker, who puts on this conference. He's worked with you for a long time and has nothing but great things to say. Most importantly, about how you are helping dental practices save money.
Well, what I've found, I've been in the credit card processing industry. I got in 1997 when I walked away from the securities industry. The problem with nowadays is more and more people don't understand the math. More and more salesmen are making sure that the merchants don't understand the math because what happens? They get to overcharge them. Right. So with our company, we teach people the math. That it's simple math. My kids when they were in third grade understood the math. They help us out with that. But the issue is once you understand the math, then it becomes really easy. Mm-hmm. And our average is a 27% reduction in cost. Not a dentist, but my biggest savings ever for one merchant was $25,000 a month.
Wow.
And the biggest ever savings I had for a dentist was $3,700 a month. It's money. It's your money that you're working hard for that some other company is now your partner.
Right.
And it's a partner you don't know about it, and that's the worst thing about it. Most people don't realize that they're getting they think they're getting a 1.49% rate. But if you take your $300 in fees and divide that into your $10,000 in processing, that's 3%. That's not 149.
Right.
And that's how you do your effective rate, Steve. That's what people are now starting to realize that, wait a minute, the smoke and mirrors of the 149s, I need to find out what I'm actually paying. Mm-hmm. And that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. So a couple things. I think the whole element, like you said, of paying attention to math certainly is important. It's a subject in school. A lot of people are like, I probably should learn how to pay attention to this. But also, I love with what you do because it seems to me, Leo, that this is one of those aspects of a dental practice that can get forgot about, not because they don't want to forget about it, just because there's so many other things going on. Right. And I would think that, to take the time to get in the weeds to learn it can take time.
No, actually, I can explain it to anybody in 5 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
It's that simple. The problem is that so many people, I'll give you an example. If you got 10 people standing in front of you and 9 of them are telling you the same lie, but there's one guy telling you the truth. Which one are you going to believe? The 9 guys telling the same story.
Sure.
The one guy telling the different story is the one usually most people don't believe. I'm the one guy telling the different story.
Right.
And that's why people are, wait a minute, what do you mean interchange? What's that? I've never heard of interchange. Well, you've been taking credit cards for 20 years and no one's explained how credit card processing works. That's why you're getting overcharged.
Right.
And interchange is really simple. Every time you use your credit card, the bank that gave you that card gets back a percentage in per transaction fee. The number goes up or down based on the risk. So your lowest risk credit card is going to be a check card. If there's no money in the account, the card's no good.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But your highest risk, and people are always surprised to find that out, are business cards. Due to the fact that 70% of businesses fail in the first year.
Right.
So those are your highest rates. And between those two high and lows, you've got 12 pages of single line type. And that's why merchants get confused. They don't understand that there's so many different types of credit cards out there that your 149 doesn't mean anything.
Sure. So talk a little bit about, you talked about some individual practices saving money. Talk a little bit about, I'm curious, some of these initial conversations you have with a practice. So when you work with them and they realize, or they're now aware of some of the things you educate them on, I don't know. I'm just curious about some of those stories.
The biggest problem nowadays is not the fact that we can save money. We can save everybody money. That's not even close to being an issue. The biggest problem are termination fees. I've been in this business for 21 years, and what I've found is that 95% of processing companies nowadays charge termination fees. And we had a dentist a couple of years ago who had a $35,000 termination fee. And that's ridiculous. And the reason being was because they have lost profit clauses. They literally told him, we were making $1,400 a month off you. You got 2 years left in your contract. Boom, that's how much we get off you. 24 times $1,400 to cancel the account.
Right.
Well, as I explained to him, they can't charge you that if you don't cancel the account. You leave the account open but dormant, pay them their $40 or $50 a month to do nothing, and switch over and save the $1,400 a month with us.
Gotcha.
And that's what he did. He switched over, saved that money. 2 years later, he called and canceled them for after paying them the $45 per month for 2 years versus paying them $35,000.
So they were still okay with even just getting the 40?
Oh, they couldn't. The contracts.
The contract.
Yeah, it's the contracts. That's what people. The salesman's going to scare you. They're going to tell you something that's not true because they don't want to lose that revenue.
Sure.
The issue comes down to where if you don't cancel the account, it's still open, right?
Right.
Can't charge your termination fee for an open account.
Yeah.
And there's the big secret for you guys. If you're afraid of a company and you find out you call that you get a termination fee of $2,000-$3,000 a month, give us a call. We'll show you. We'll save you that money. Put it back in your pocket, not theirs.
Right. So, how long have you been with this company? You said?
I own the company.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm the owner, and with my wife, and I've been doing this. We started the company in the year 2000, August of 2000, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And that's shortly after that, I met Woody Oaks, and we saved them $2,000 per month when we looked at their statement.
Okay.
And he thought, well, this might be something that's good for dentists to know about.
Sure.
And at that point, I started writing articles for them, and I've written probably 30 articles over the last 15, 16 years for the Profitable Dentist. We've got clients in all 50 states. It's a great business to be in when you do it the right way.
Absolutely.
We're honest. We have no termination fees. We offer a price match guarantee to keep our customers, but we live by the simple rule of, we're going to treat you right.
Sure.
You deserve it. You've been ripped off. We're going to treat you right. We have customer service in-house.
Yeah.
You're not sitting on call half an hour waiting to talk to someone.
Right.
So there are a lot of benefits of doing business with us, but most importantly, it's the honesty. I'm too old to remember lies. Never liked lying to begin with, but I'm too old to try to remember those lies.
Sure.
That always amazes me about these young salesmen, that they can tell 20 different people 20 different lies and remember each one of the lies they told each one of those different people.
Yeah. So questions, as you know, Leo, especially from a consumer's perspective, that's where a lot of it starts. Sometimes knowing what to ask.
Yeah.
So with your experience and everything that you've seen out there, what would be some initial questions that you would advise, a doctor to ask when they're either going to switch or anything like that?
Well, I'll give you the way I always tell merchants to look at. If you're looking at switching your credit card processing from one company to another, Google the second company and add the word complaints and see if anything pops up. I'm proud to say in the 20 years I've been in this business, my company has never had one complaint and never will. But if you Google most companies, and there's some you Google out there, and the screen will light up, and there'll be pages and pages of complaints and basic fraud that they've committed. So you want to make sure you know who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a company that has tons of complaints, don't do business with them.
Right.
Okay, that's really simple. Right. The second thing you want to know as a consumer looking for a processing company, termination fees. As we just talked about.
Yeah.
I talk to merchants all the time, and they don't know termination fees exist because the company that you're with probably has a termination fee. The guy that's trying to switch you has a termination fee.
Right.
And he's not going to say, hey, check out your termination fee. Oh, wait a minute, we have one too. Yeah. You're going to stay with the company that you have once you find out that you have a huge termination fee with them and that the other company has one too. So that's one of the ways of finding out, are you jumping from the frying pan into the fire?
Sure. Well, and as you know, sometimes the contracts, that's what's tricky, right?
No one reads these contracts.
Nobody reads them.
No.
And the things that can burn you the most are usually the deepest in the contract or somewhere. So, that's a great...
Well, Steve, there's actually a company, one of the worst companies in the industry, that has ridiculous termination fees. They put it right on the front page, right above where the person's supposed to sign. So the customer can't say they didn't see it because it's right there where you're supposed to sign, and people still don't see it. Yeah. They still don't look at it. It's right there in front of them, but they won't look at it.
Yeah.
And this company has a termination fee of $700.
Right.
There's a lot of money out there that these guys are getting on termination fees, but what you're doing is people are paying way more.
Sure.
We in the 20-something years I've been in this business, I've probably saved hundreds of millions of dollars for people, simply because we save so many people so much money every time, every month.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about, obviously when you started, you said back in 2000?
Well, we started the company in 2000. I started doing this in 1997.
Gotcha, okay. But where did you really see your company go from, getting started to really that next level? Was it a couple years in, 5 years in?
Actually, it was 3 years afterwards when we started getting involved with, my biggest clients are states, not individuals. People always say, think I do a lot of dentistry, which I do, but my biggest client's the state of Arizona, Department of Motor Vehicles.
Okay.
My second biggest client's the state of Illinois, cities, park districts, and things along those lines. Gotcha. And that's where we took off, is once we started realizing that there are different programs out there for different industries.
Okay.
And there are different programs for nonprofits. There are different programs where they get a huge benefit.
Sure.
So we have a company that's one of the largest nonprofit theater groups in the Midwest. They do $1 million a month in processing, and they're charitable.
Right.
So there's a charitable program. So we don't just do dentists. We do everything possible out there, except gambling and sex sites. Won't touch those.
Right. Yeah. That's smart choice.
Yeah, well, you usually have a seedier character when you're dealing with those two industries.
Well, and I asked that question because I think it just connects to the success that you've had, because and I'm interested in your thoughts on this, that what you've learned in some of those other industries, it sounds like you've been able to bring that to dentistry.
Yes.
I love when companies are able to diversify, because all of that information that you may learn with the state of Arizona, what have you, probably then you can bring that into dentistry and make things better for the customers that you're working with there.
And that's it exactly. Yeah. Because of our reputation nationwide, people are calling us and they want to do business with us. And that's what happened with the dentistry. We have dental consultants, accounting groups, money managers, all sorts of people like that have read my articles over the last 2 decades and decide they want to use that ability to use our company to save their clients money, and they know they're not going to refer them to somebody who's going to take advantage of them.
Sure. Do you have a favorite article over the years that you wrote that you kind of go back to even nowadays? You're like, man, that was good.
Yeah, well, we actually have it on our desk here right now, and it's one of my favorite ones on the website. It's credit card processing, how the math works.
Okay.
It's straightforward. It explains what's called an effective rate, and I touched on that briefly before, where your effective rate says if you had $300 in fees and you took $10,000 in processing, that's 3%. Right. So your 149 means nothing. But that one is basically the light bulb has gone off on many merchants' heads once they read that, because they realize, wait a minute, I thought I was getting 149 on everything. I never did the math.
Right.
And now they do the math and realize they're paying 3.5% to 4%.
Yeah.
We had a guy here, I think it was about 7 or 8 months ago. He was with a company. He swore he was getting a 1.25%. And I said, I can guarantee you're not. And he finally sent us over the statement. His effective rate was 5.2. This guy's doing $200,000 a month, and we dropped his rate down to under 2%. That's $5,000 to $6,000 a month he's now putting back in his pocket.
Sure.
because he thought he was getting a 1.25%.
Yeah.
That's not it, guys. If you're looking at your statement and you're seeing a 149, 159, get a calculator. Do the math.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up.
So before we started this interview, you and I and Steve Parker were talking, and Steve mentioned something about a Mercedes, and that Leo was giving away a Mercedes. And maybe I think it's the math part here, right? I mean, when a practice can save
the money we save
then
them,
obviously you can do other things. And the Mercedes is just one example, I know, but I'm certainly. You've seen it, Leo. What if you wanted to add a new team member, or build a new operatory, or add some new technology, or do a bonus for the practice? I mean, I'm sure there's all those things that come from.
When we're saving you $2,000 to $3,000 a month, how much is that? How much can you put that back in your profit, into your practice?
Yeah.
Can you now hire a new staff member?
Sure.
Can you now go out and pay all your utility bills? Think about it, guys. Now your utility bills are paid.
Yeah.
We actually have accounting firms that use us as a way to get new accounts. They walk in and say we're going to save you. We're going to show you how our accounting fees are going to be for free. Well, if we can get free accounting fees, you'd do it, wouldn't you? Sure. Well, then they give me the statement. We show them we're going to save them $500 to $1,000 a month. That pays for the account.
Absolutely. Yeah. How do people learn more about you and your company, and how they can take advantage of this great service and just your value?
My company is International Payment Solutions, LLC. You can call us directly at 844-483-1995.
Okay.
Our website is InterPay.com. And you'll have a bunch of my articles that are on there. I always joke with my clients, say, if you read all the articles I've got on my website, you'll know more than 90% of the salesmen that are trying to sell you.
Yeah. Interesting. How about some fun questions?
Oh, sure.
Let's
Let's go.
game? All right.
Always fun.
All right. So if there was a song, Leo, that best described you, your company, your career, what would it be?
Still crazy after all these years.
I love it. How about your favorite sandwich?
I'm going back to Chicago for the Blues Fest in June. I'm from Chicago, and I'm looking forward to going to Maxwell Street for a Polish.
Okay, all right. So since you're from Chicago, favorite baseball team, Cubs or White Sox?
White Sox.
Okay. Bulls fan?
Bulls fan.
Okay. Bears fan?
Bears fan. We go to the Bears. Since we've been here in Florida, we've gone to every time the Bears have come to Florida, we've gone to see the game.
Okay. All right. Were you happy for the Cubs when they won? I mean, how does that work?
I've been betting against the Cubs for 3 decades and making money. The first time they actually win is when I lose money. I don't care. I've made enough over the decades where I didn't mind them winning. It was just kind of funny that after all these time, these guys finally took some of my money.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, I'm from Cleveland, and so I'm on your side today because that was not a good World Series for us, but it was nonetheless a great World Series. How about a place that you have not been able to travel yet that you'd love to go to?
My wife and I were just talking about that. I want to go to Saigon.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go over there. She wants to go to Iceland.
Yeah.
So we compromised. We're going to Oktoberfest in Munich this September and Rome. So,
it's a good compromise.
Yeah, we're going to go to Rome for 3 days so she can get all of her Italian food. Then I'm going to go drink a bunch of beer in Munich.
There you go. I love it. So last question. You truly are an entrepreneur in all senses of starting your company. You did it obviously by building great reputation, all those things. If given the opportunity, and you may get these chances to speak with a group of young entrepreneurs or people that want to start their own company, looking back with what you've learned, what would be one thing you'd share with them? Just a piece of advice.
Be honest. It's a lot easier to remember the truth than to try to remember 20, 30, 40 different lies. When I was a stockbroker, I was honest. We gave a discount on our brokerage fees, but we were honest. It's a lot easier to be honest than not.
Sure.
That always. My mother taught me 2 things: keep your integrity and your education high. Those are the things that are going to matter most in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Leo, this has been great.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate your time, and certainly want to let everybody know to check out the website, learn more about International Payment Solutions, and maybe give that website one more time just so people know.
It's kind of a tough one. So it's Inter, INTER for international, -pay.com, PAY.com.
So inter-pay.com. Excellent. Well, any last thoughts or advice for our audience or anything?
Well, I've been going through this, and I tell everybody the same thing. You get a medical checkup, you get a dental checkup, get your credit card processing checkup. You don't know whether or not you're getting overcharged, and you don't know who to trust. Well, I can tell you, I will not screw you over.
And you can, like you said, I mean, 5 minutes, right?
5
In
minutes.
most
You give
cases,
us a
not lot of
statement. I
time.
can explain the math to you in 5 minutes. We look at your statement. We'll walk through the math together while you have a calculator. It takes less than 10 minutes from start to finish, and you'll know the answer.
Excellent. Thanks for your time, Leo.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.